local station. News 4 Jax starts now.
Well, keep your umbrella handy because you're going to need it for most of the day. Richard will tell us how much rain we could see. Good morning. It's Monday, September 29th, and that is the main story this morning, weather. We're also following a power outage this morning affecting close to 50 people. It's in the San Jose area, just south of San Cleric Road between Old Kings and San Jose Boulevard. It's expected to be restored shortly before 5 o'clock. And here's some new video from downtown Jacksonville this morning. There's a lot of standing water around town from yesterday's heavy rains. Let's get to the Weather Authority's Richard Nunn to see what we can expect today.
A lot more of that. It's going to be a soaking, soggy start here to the morning. And on top of it, we've already got some warnings that are in place, and it's all because of the rainfall. Locally into Jacksonville, we got the aerial flood watch. This is going to continue through 10 o'clock, and it's not just into Duval County, Charlton County, every county that has the green box around it. But what I was trying to do is get right there, and that's where we've got a flood advisory. So basically, we're talking about stretches of, what would that be, out near 295. Let's grab our scope here so we can zoom in on these areas. So we're talking about parts of 95 as well as 295, and then getting into areas around Polytown. This is where we've seen some of the heavy rainfall overnight, Ocean Way, Duval, even out toward Eastport here, just outside of that. But I would imagine that just based on the colors that you have here and what we've seen overnight with the rain that's continued to move through, we've got the standing water on the roadways. I know that my short drive coming straight in, there were multiple puddles, and then you've got those areas where the trucks have kind of dug out those little ruts in the cement, in the asphalt. Those have also filled up with water, so some hydroplaning issues are going to be a factor here this morning. Visibility down to a mile. If it wasn't bad enough with the wipers on this morning, we've also got some thick fog in and around those same areas. So we're talking about northern Jax. Based on the shading, it looks like it continues here in Nassau County. 2.5 at Waycross. A slick morning, foggy morning. I mean, both of these are already going to combine to make for some issues on the roadways. Of course, Ashley will take you through that beginning at 5 o'clock today. But here's what's going on. We've got the boundary, and this is what's kept our forecast on again, off again with those showers and storms over the course of the weekend. You had the high pressure that made the retreat, the trough that was still lingering, and now we've got this here, the low pressure area that has to traverse the state. As we stand right now, about a 40 to a 50-50 shot. We're talking about volume of how many people are seeing the rainfall, but this here is going to guarantee that just about all of us will take it all the way up to 90% here today as it traverses the state. Will offer us some wet weather in the way of our rain buckets out there. Periodically, it could be temporarily heavy rainfall. We could even see some of those isolated strong thunderstorms. There's a lot to talk about as we get ready to kick off the work week. We'll have more of this coming up in about 10 minutes. Ashley, back to you.
Thank you, Richard. A lot of people are waiting to see if today's rains will cause more flooding. Just take a look at parts of San Marco yesterday. You can see people trying to push their cars away from the high waters. There wasn't much relief in Riverside either. Drivers there had to drive through widespread flooding in some neighborhoods with poor drainage areas. We checked there this morning, and it looks like the flooding is gone. In the south part of Flagler County, a lot of roads are closed because of flooding. At least 15 buildings are damaged. Deputies say there are reports of stranded cars and downed trees. So Channel 4's Chris Shriver is on his way to Flagler County. We will have a live report from him coming up at 5:30. You'll really want to download our Weather Authority app today. It's free. Just search WJXT in the Apple or Android store to download it. That way you can keep track of conditions all day long. We are following a local breaking news alert in the Bay Meadows area. There's been an armed robbery at the McDonald's. It's right off of I-95 at Bay Meadows. Police got the call around 3:20 this morning. We do have a crew on the way, and we'll bring you more information when we get it. We're also following a breaking news alert out of Afghanistan, where the new president has been sworn in. Ashraf Ghani Ahmezi is replacing Hamed Karzai, who was the current. And this is the country's first democratic transfer of power since 2001. U.S.-led invasion toppled the Taliban. The new president took power in a peaceful transition after a 6-month election season. U.S. officials expect him to sign a security agreement with the U.S., and that will allow about 10,000 American troops to stay in the country after the international combat mission ends on December 31st. Now to the retrial of Michael Dunn. Day 4 of the Michael Dunn trial will resume in just a few hours. The prosecution is expected to call its final 2 witnesses before the defense presents its case. Channel 4's Heather Lee talked with Randy Reep, a local attorney who is not affiliated with the case, but who's been weighing in on what we can expect this week.
There may be only 2 witnesses left for the state, but that could always change.
They're not allowed to fix Jordan Davis's character until it's been impeached, and it's not impeached until the defense makes it an issue. If that were to occur, they can bring in character witnesses for that purpose.
During Michael Dunn's first trial, he told the jury Jordan Davis got out of the red SUV he was riding in with his friends with a shotgun. He didn't tell police or his fiancée, Rhonda Rower, about the gun he says Davis had until months later. It's an important omission that Reap says will force the defense to paint Jordan Davis as someone who scared Dunn enough to fire his weapon.
The defense really does have to attack the victim, because otherwise, how could my fear of him been reasonable? Whether or not he was dressed in provocative clothing that would put a reasonable person at fear, or he took a stance that was otherwise aggressive. Until that's done, so to speak, nobody has a reasonable fear of him. So they're going to have to sort of splash some negative paint on him.
Why retry Michael Dunn if he's already looking at a minimum of 60 years behind bars?
So the overarching theory is you got to get justice for Jordan Davis. He was the young man who was murdered, understandably. Now, from a practical standpoint, though, if there was an appeal issue in the first trial where he was convicted on 3 counts of attempted murder, that issue wouldn't likely be in the second trial. So by convicting him on this murder charge, they're going to tie him up for life either way, and really it's just locking down the conviction.
Heather Lee, Channel 4, the local station.
Our gavel-to-gavel coverage in the Michael Dunn retrial begins this morning at 9 a.m. on news4jax.com. You can watch a live stream while court is in session. Just look under our top stories on our homepage. You'll also be able to join the conversation through our live chat on the web when testimony gets underway. Covering Alachua County now, police are warning University of Florida students to be on alert. A woman told police she was being followed by a man who matches the description of a suspected attacker. Police issued the alert Saturday night. The warning comes a few days after police released this sketch of the suspected man in the attacks on or near campus. Students have been warned to stay in well-lit areas if they're walking, and do not walk alone on campus. If you have any information about the suspect, Gainesville Police want you to call them at 352-393-7658. Today, we expect to learn the preliminary cause of death for a Fruit Cove teen whose body was pulled from a submerged car. 18-year-old Javon Carrier was pulled from that car on Saturday. His mom told us he was a twin, that the brothers came from a military family. She says Carrier recently became a merchant marine. His car crashed into the pond sometime overnight on Friday along Roberts Road. Deputies also tell us that speed was a factor in the crash. A Jacksonville man is in critical condition this morning after he was hit by a car in Orange Park. It happened around 7:30 Saturday on Wells Road at DeBerry Avenue. Florida Highway Patrol says a Mustang driven by 18-year-old Brian Stevens was hit 25-year-old Daniel Guderi, who was trying to cross Wells Road. Guderi was taken to UF Health, and troopers say charges are pending. More than 600 Jacksonville families will not go hungry thanks to a food drive from the St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church. Lines were wrapped around the church on Saturday for the last summer food giveaway. The event is made possible through a partnership with the Nourishment Network and Farm Share. Fresh fruits and veggies were all brought in from local farms.
I love the wheat bread, the real nourishment things. You're getting cucumbers for your family. You're not only receiving we're receiving a turkey today and some chicken, but I mean we're receiving the nourishment stuff that I'm able to feed my children during the week.
More than 40,000 pounds of food were given to less fortunate families. An artist is finding inspiration at the beach, how she uses the sand to create works of art. But first, dozens of people fear dead near a volcano spewing toxic gas. Why Japanese soldiers have suspended their search this morning. That is next. The Weather Authority is tracking showers moving through the area this morning. Richard will have your full forecast coming up.
Like WJXT4, the local station, on Facebook.